You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hey everyone, I'm Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining us on another edition of Inside Automotive right here at the CBT Automotive Network. Today we're happy to have with us in studio Mr. Ted Rubin, who's the Chief Executive Officer of ActivEngage, a people-powered web-based live chat and communication solutions provider. In this segment, we're going to be talking about and discussing the latest insights and trends into dealer to consumer conversations. This is something that you're not going to want to miss because it is at the forefront of every dealer's mind out there as we move on a completely digital environment and selling vehicles, and our sales processes will be online as well. You all know what I'm talking about. It all happens with a click and it all happens with a phone call. So we got to get those areas right. So Ted, thank you so much for joining us in the studio. Really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
This is a topic that is near and dear to every dealer's heart, every manager's heart, everybody that operates a showroom. How do we get our hands around this? How do we communicate effectively and help the consumers when they're trying to do business with us? Yes. We've all called dealerships, we've all called retailers and companies where we want to crawl through the phone and kill that person or that machine, I should say, because it's not getting the job done, and yet we want to do business with this company. Right. And the car business is no different. So talk to us about some of the trends that you see out there and maybe some of the issues that you've heard from dealers out there and the pain points they're having.
Yeah, I think that what you point out is really significant. All that stuff that historically people know about, from the phones and having people call in and stuff. It all translates very specifically in the same way to messaging, through chat or SMS or all the different vehicles that you can have online. And it's a little bit more intense because now it's all written down and the customer gets a transcript and they get to know what they're said.
That's
so
right.
The days of hey, just come on down, or hey, give me all this information. You don't want to be doing that because the customers got a record of everything that you're doing.
That's right.
And they're going to bring it in. They're going, oh, you said this and the car's here and this is what it is, and all those kind of things.
That's
so
exactly right. Yeah.
I think that people need to be thoughtful about the way that they're interacting with customers, and I think dealers, especially with things like the Safeguards Act and Title 16 and stuff like that they want to be careful about what they're asking for, and they want to make sure that the customer is very comfortable with the things that they're giving over, and that they're not getting things that they don't need or that are impertinent to the conversation.
Right.
And I think that that's where that dealers and the industry in general, where they need the most help. A lot of times they're just trying to get everything, and it's unnecessary. You want to keep the customer on the path that they should be on for whatever stage they're in at that moment. If they're researching, then you want to be talking to them about the research, not trying to push them into a sale at that moment. If they're in the process of a sale, then obviously you want to facilitate for them and make it as easy as possible to use digital retailing and things like that. So just be aware and answer the questions and interact about the things that they want to talk about.
Right.
And you're going to get more interaction, more trust. And when you get the trust and the faith in you, then that's how you build the relationship.
That's right. And you're going to stand out among your competitors as a dealer when you're able to provide that, right? I mean,
absolutely.
That's the key. Everybody right now has got, they're all have Amazon experiences on their mind, where it's like it's easy to do. They'll recommend it, a click of the mouse, and man, that product is right at your front door.
That's right.
So now we go into automotive. It almost seems like we're sometimes in automotive, and don't send me any emails on this, dealers, but we happen to be late to the game in the technology in retail automotive, aren't we? And I don't know why that is, probably for a multitude of different reasons, right? But now's the time as we go into 2023 and we start to see those lots start to fill back up again, because as you know, it's kind of like shooting fish in a barrel, where if you get 50 cars this month or 150, you're going to sell every one at sticker price. This is not the automotive game as we know. That's going to be changing here in 2023 from what all of the analysts say. We're going to see more cars. There's already more cars hitting. This is the time to sharpen your axe and also get all of these areas of your dealership covered, right? Because this is it. This is what it's all about.
No, I absolutely think so. I mean, you're talking about conversations with customers. So whether you have the vehicles or not, the customers are reaching out.
Right.
Okay, so that's happening all the time.
That's right.
And it's how you treat those customers. I was just having this conversation actually with a potential customer for a dealership earlier today. And if you have a bad interaction with the dealer today, whether they have the car or not, or the purchase process, even if they're getting a car today, if that's going badly and the dealer's like, I don't care, I can sell it to somebody else because I have this car and nobody else has it. Well, but you're going to lose that relationship. You're going to lose that customer. Right. And when cars are, much more prolific and they're more available, and the customers can go wherever they want, you don't want to be alienating these people. They're going to remember that. That's
100%. And in some cases, you're doing that to a past customer, somebody that's bought 5 cars from you already.
Sure. Yeah, I think that. Look, I think it's a good time right now. Dealers, they're getting fat, which is good, and I'm a big fan of that for them. Sure. I'm happy that the industry is doing really well, and it's had a lot of success during this time. I also think, you have the availability and the time and the money now, to be looking at things, trying to identify, where can I make, improvements or changes that benefit me, that benefit the customer, that are more impactful to be able to make customers, want to come to me, and in the long run, that they're always going to want to come back. And if you service people well and you give them answers and you give them what it is that they're looking for, then they'll actually pay the premium willingly, to come over and do something with you, because they don't want to fight through things. They do want more of the Amazon experience. They want that, where I can go on, I know this is what I'm going to get. I know the interaction is going to be this way. What's difficult in automotive, frankly, is you're not buying an off-the-shelf item. You're buying something that gets customized in a very specific way. Sure. And so they need an advocate, right? They need someone who's going to help them through that. Someone who knows the process at the dealership that can say, hey, look, it's going to be easy. I'm going to do this for you. This is what's going to happen when you're going to come in. You're going to see this guy, and here's what's going to happen. Or, I understand we have a lot of different options. Let me take the burden off of that. Let me help you. Why are you looking for what you're looking? And that's a huge question to ask on the phone or through messaging. Sure. Is why are you doing this? Some people will go, none of your business, and that's fine. It's really rare that happens. Usually they tell you. Usually they tell you it, and that why is going to give you all the insight. How do I help navigate this guy to what I have that he wants?
You might even find out that that's not even the buyer. I'm doing this for somebody. Okay, that information is going to be helpful. Yeah. Or how urgent they're in the market for a car. If my vehicle was just totaled, okay, I need a vehicle today. Yeah. If my lease isn't up for 6 months and I'm kind of in that preliminary stage of shopping, I need to know that as well, right?
Absolutely.
All of that's important.
Yeah, you need to take that time to ask those questions, to build a relationship with the customer. Right. So you want this customer to start instilling their trust in you. Yeah. And they're not going to do that if you're very flat, if you're on your own agenda, or, bots don't do that very well, because they're just asking the questions that they know to ask. Right. They're just reading off a list and they're going, well, I think this is the next step that I'm supposed to go to. So as a bot, I'm going to ask this question. Sure. You need to have some forethought, some intonation. Yeah. You have to be able to read the conversation, even if it's being written down. Yeah. It's there. That's right. And it's just about experience and training and your ability to understand that, so that when the customer really feels like you're paying attention and that you're trying to help them, they know it. Yeah. And then they start being really giving about the stuff. So
and we've all been consumers on that end, so I know exactly what you're talking about, which is a perfect segue. Talk to us about human end-to-end engagement versus bot-type experience.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's who, if you've been on the planet for a long time, if you've ever been on the internet, you probably interacted with a bot.
Right, no question.
I don't have a big problem. I think there's a place for bots, and we use technology like that as well, kind of in the back end, but I don't like to put it customer facing. Okay. I feel that the bots, they're very impersonal. When I get onto a website and if there's a bot, first I want to know that there's a bot. So it upsets me if I'm interacting through messaging and then it's like, oh, I'm a bot, I'm sorry, I can't answer that question. Or I start asking questions and it's giving me the wrong answers or really different answers.
Yeah, exactly. Standard stuff that I didn't even ask that question.
I don't want that. That's no good. If I know it's a bot, then I'm okay to kind of give, let me see if I can get to what I want. Sure. But quickly, it seems like, I need to be able to get to a person that's going to be able to answer more questions in the context and content that's more in line with specifically what I'm asking and the way I want to know. Cars are so personal. Yeah. They really convey a representation of who you are. A lot of people use them that way. They buy this car versus that one. Absolutely.
No question about it.
It's like jewelry almost. Yeah. And so, I don't know, would you go online and talk to a bot about buying something that was jewelry for your wife? Probably not.
That's right.
You'd say, oh, she has blue eyes and blonde hair and she likes these kind of things. She likes birds or she likes whatever.
Yeah, sure.
It's just not the kind of conversation that I think that bots can handle to perpetuate. I think that you're going to see more of them as we go forward, as they get better. Right now, they're not very good. So you need that human interaction, and that the humanity of it is actually, to me, that's what makes me comfortable. Okay, I got to a person.
Right.
Okay, now I can start asking questions. I'm going to get an answer that is at least communicative to the point that I'm asking.
Right. Which is so important. I saw a recent study that said that, I don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but some 70% of all car shopping took place after 7 p.m. at night. I mean, in terms of like looking at different vehicles on the internet. I fall into that category as well. I'm like, oh, this is a great time to do this, and if I want to get information and all of a sudden, a chat pops up or what have you, and it says, hey, how can I help you? Or what, I'm like, oh, this is great. It's 9 o'clock at night. Talk to us about that, because that is
absolutely,
that's what people want, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, people, they do it at work. So lunchtime, as a rolling number, at lunchtime, East Coast to West Coast, there's definitely plenty of business.
Not
at
our
lunchtime.
Employees here at CBT News.
Not
they would never do that.
No, I wasn't implying that. But in a lot of other places, that's something that happens. But significantly, there's lots of business, that transpires basically, 5, 6, 7, all the way up until about just before 11 o'clock.
Okay.
You'll get overnight stuff as well, but it definitely tapers off as you get there. But there's an expectation. I mean, dealerships, typically are open into the evening and things like that. And just business development centers aren't usually there and things like that. So there's a need, there's an expectation from the customer. I'm going to be able to get to someone and talk to them. If I called the dealership at 8 o'clock, then I should be able to talk to someone. Why wouldn't I be able to do it this way? And they do want to get to a live person, to be able to ask questions. And there is a high volume because the customer has the time. Now I have the time, I'm the customer.
That's right. And that's when you want to communicate with the customer about a vehicle, because they're not under the gun. If they're at work, they got to close out the site. They got to they only got 5 minutes or whatever. But if I got home and now I'm on the computer, I'm shopping for a vehicle, I got the next 3 hours to do this. I can have intelligent conversations, and I don't know about you, but I am one that, man, if you can text me all the information, I'm in.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I've done deals. I've looked at houses and boats and you name it, and it all through text, gotten all the information. Have you seen, obviously that's a growing deal, right? More people are like, no, keep it on text. And so many dealers go for that, call me right now, can we discuss this on the phone?
Right.
And I'm like, no, let's discuss it
right here. Yeah, well, I mean, listen, they get a transcript.
Right.
So they're going to have a history of it. There's things that you can send afterwards and things like that. I also think that you can leverage the technology a little too much. I've seen a lot of products where the representatives are, just, hey, what about this? What about this? What about this? And they're just sending over things, and the customer's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Because they're not listening to the customer. Right. They're just trying to preempt or get through the conversation to get to what their end is, instead of just situating themselves, okay, Mr. Customer, you lead me through what you want to do. And I will give you the answers and help you navigate
specific to what you're looking for.
Specific
rather
to what
than
you're
here's
looking
what
for.
I think you need to know, right?
Yeah, I mean, you do have to have a certain amount of awareness of how things go and what people have asked for in the past, so that you can kind of have in your mind what customers are going to do. But you don't want to tell the customer this is what you're going to, this is where you're going. This is what you're going to do. I know you may be thinking you're going to go this way, but
and of course consumers shut down.
That's
and if they shut down in the dealership, as we know they do, they're definitely going to shut down in the comfort of their own living room.
That's right.
Where it's really easy.
Well,
to do
it's
that,
just click.
It's just a click.
That's
all
exactly
right. So talk to us about your mission to make digital consumer experiences with automotive retailers even more engaging using conversational tools, because this is the future of the industry.
Right.
The OEMs want us to be there. The consumers want us to be there. Everybody's pulling for the automotive industry to get into this space as quickly as possible. And as I said earlier, sometimes the dealers go kicking and screaming because they're like, wait a minute, we're selling all these cars, making all this money. What's the problem? Well, sometimes people don't know what they don't know.
Right.
But the future is here, right? And we need to get into this space in a quick way.
Yeah, I mean, listen, everything is moving that way. Digital retailing and other products have come out like that, that are assisting customers in advance of getting to the dealerships, and in some cases you'll be able to process all the way through, and that's definitely the future where you'll be able to do this all
no
online.
question.
But I mean, again, you're back to it's a complicated sales process, and you're not selling one thing. You're selling the car, you're selling the financing, you're potentially selling certain types of insurance and other things along with it, right?
Yeah.
So you do need an advocate. You do need someone who can be there to help you through those processes. We actually integrate with a lot of the different. We have a lot of exclusive integrations with Roadster and Darwin and Accelerate and GM Shop Click Drive and others.
Yeah.
Where we can help customers navigate through these processes.
Yeah.
And
wow.
We're assisting them as they're going through the digital return. We certainly want them to go through it if we can get them through it. But a lot of times it's just an organic thing as well, right? You want to be able to speak to the customer, help them find the vehicle, and as you're finding the vehicle, then the customer seems like they may be interested to go further. They'll say, can you tell me what the monthly payment would be? And say, well, it's about this, but if you're interested, I can figure it out exactly for you. Did you want to submit a credit application? And you can move them into that if they want to go. If they say yeah, then you can move them into whatever that digital retailing program is, and stay with them and kind of hold their hand through it. And I think it gives them a higher comfort level, and there's a higher likelihood not only that they'll get through the process, but they'll actually go to the dealership, show up, or have the car delivered, and go through the paperwork at that time because they feel like they know what's going to happen. They feel like someone's been with them through that process.
Sure.
And
when we hear about Tesla and their online experience, and then the way that they communicate with their consumers, which is world class, and I think they've done a great job in that area. We've spoken to a number of their consumers and people that have done business with them before. The same thing with Rivian and Lucid and all of these companies that said it's all about the online experience.
Yeah.
It really is. And now we see Ford saying to dealers, hey, if you want to sell EVs, you got to step up. You got to step up your digital game. Okay, we have to be able to provide this kind of service to our consumers that are online, that call, click, or check us out online before they ever walk into your dealership.
Right.
And it starts with this area, right? It starts with a phone call. It starts with a text message, does it not?
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
These are the digital showrooms, right?
Right.
And dealers, I think, are in favor of all these things as well. It makes it so that you can have a much more robust listing of information and things at the customer's fingertips to be able to have. But just like when you walk into a store, you want to be able to, you may not want to have someone on you right away, but you certainly don't want to be left alone to your own devices and you're walking around and you're kind of looking around and no one approaches you, no one comes up to you. I hate that. I ultimately know that I want to have someone there, and they just go, hey, I'm here. Let me know when you want it. And so you need to be able to have that interaction. You need to have these services as well, I think, so that you can migrate customers into a format within your own website so that you can expose all this stuff to them and show it to them. The hard part is, I think that you have to have things that will keep the customer engaged on the website. We came out with something called MyDrive, for instance. And that product allows you to see like a test drive that was filmed by the OEM or maybe by the dealer group or even by the individual, by the dealer. And so you can actually watch this car drive around and you get excited about it. It's just like the same kind of excitement that you would get watching a commercial on TV. Well, you can't get into the store from the computer, and you can't touch the cold steel and feel how nice it is.
There's no holograms yet.
Yeah, you can't smell the leather and everything. So you do have to find other alternatives. And I think dealers are looking for those things, and they've been looking for a while, so that's good. And they're looking for a lot of stuff. It's not just in the messaging space. But you got to be able to offer things to the customers that are going to make them feel like they're having a similar experience to that which they would have in the store to build that excitement, to get them motivated.
Yeah, get them to smell the leather, or at least short of that, right?
Right, you get them to smell the leather, you get them in the car, you get them to hear the engine and stuff like that. And now they're much more tied into that vehicle. Well, if you're looking at a screen and there's no visually impacting utility there, and there's no communication, or there's not a good communication there, then what is it exactly that's going to draw them into your dealership?
That's right.
Right? I mean, what are you doing?
That's right. That's right. So the way that we came about bringing you in today was we spoke to a dealer that said that they shopped at their own dealership and they shopped it online, and they to see what that experience looked like. They didn't do it once; they did it multiple times because they were so down as to what they found at their own stores.
Right.
And this dealer has 20 stores, and he says, "Well, if this is happening here, it's happening in 20 others. I can't take this." And they heard about you through a Dealer 20 meeting, and they said, "I'm calling Ted Rubin, and I'm getting him in here, and you guys got to fix this." And then, of course, they said, "Hey, this is what dealers need to take a look at, because your solution that you've come up with. What, from your perspective, what's the biggest problem ActivEngage is solving for auto dealerships today?"
I think it's taking this very kind of billboard kind of presentation of here's who I am on the dealership. It's a billboard. You can't interact with it. It can't do anything.
Right.
It doesn't talk to you.
Yeah.
And we're turning that into a relationship building asset for the dealer. And we're doing it with real people. It's always a live person who's going to pick up. It's someone who's knowledgeable, who's been trained in how to have this conversation. We give training on grammar, on spelling and things like that. Things you can or can't do to interact with a customer. Plus we have analytics and statistics that we're constantly evaluating to leverage that information. Then we go out and twice a week we train all of the reps. Here's the trending. This is what people are going towards. This is what they like. This is what they don't like. Even conversational aspects of it. And so,
that's great.
You need to be able to get the customer to the store. If a customer is local to you, that doesn't necessarily mean anymore that they're coming to your dealership. They're going to go online.
That's right.
They're going to look around. They're going to see who's going to interact with them the best way.
Today, this is local.
Today, that's exactly right.
And the dealer goes, "Don't worry, we'll ship it to you."
That's exactly right. So, your first impression with them is going to be this communication. So you have to be, and I'm not saying that dealers can't do it either. Dealers can, buy the technology for sure, and we sell just the software and everything, and the software that we have is built on the plant. Our people, our heavy users that are like, this is what I need to do better with the dealers, and this is what I need to have a better conversation. So they sit here, and the developers sit here.
Sure.
So there's a lot of that making the system better for that, but that's what needs to happen. Dealers, if you're doing it yourself, they need to focus on, well, how do I have a better conversation, and what does that look like? What do I need to do for the customer to make it so that they're comfortable, that they want to buy? I mean, they'll tell you, thanks very much, you've been super helpful. This customer is coming in. When they're just like, thanks, bye.
Oh, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you don't know what's happening there. They're just going on to the next guy.
That's exactly right.
And it's not about a price discussion, and it's not about do you have it discussion. It's about, am I going to get treated okay by this dealership, or am I going to fight through this every step of the way? Because that's my expectation. Because that's what I've seen in the past.
Oh, they come in with their fists up, right?
Right.
And you gotta do everything.
You got to disarm them.
That's right. Because they're coming in ready to pull that grenade. And whether it's based on past experiences that they've had with dealerships, or maybe things that they've heard or what have you. In many cases we've kind of done it to ourselves in the industry. I've been in the industry, many years, and I look back, that's probably not the right way to train the salespeople back then. What I mean? And to try to keep everything we could away. But times have completely changed, and now that customer is in the driver's seat, and they're demanding you as dealers do what you need to do to make sure that you bring your dealership up to speed. And it starts with a click. This is it right here. These are the solutions that we want to be bringing you at CBT News, because you all know in your heart of hearts, if you call your dealerships today, or you click on, or you engage with them through text, you might not like what you see. So don't blame me. We're bringing you, the solutions here. It's up to you to make the call and to check these guys out. I'm sure if you call Ted and say, "Hey, do an analysis on my store, let me know what you think," and then the conversation can go from there. But do something in this area. If you think because we're selling so many cars and we're making so much money that this is an area you don't have to worry about, just stay sleeping. Your competition's going to eat your lunch. So I'm probably going to get some emails on that. but I mean it. And I've done this so many years, and I've run dealerships and showrooms and been there and done that. And the other thing I will tell you, and dealers know this too, is that I can have the greatest training program in the world in store, in my company. The problem is that 70% turnover in the auto industry is what kills my training.
Yeah.
Because unless I'm doing that every single day, like you guys actually are at ActivEngage, and supporting these men and women that are on the front lines, I can't typically do it as a dealer. You know what I mean? And I don't know what I don't know. So even though I had a great training program and I had it's all for naught when 70% of the people are not even at that dealership a year from now.
Right.
That's a real problem. So dealers need to align themselves with the right vendors, and as I said, these are the kind of solutions we want to be bringing. So Ted Rubin, CEO of ActivEngage, check him out, by the way. You're going to be at NADA, right?
I will be at NADA.
Okay, so check him out at NADA. Take 15 minutes of your time and see what this is all about. You are going to thank me later, so I'll take those emails. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.